A detention facility on Kepler 442b was designed to break any sentient being. The Zephyrian Empire had perfected psychological torture over 3 millennia, reducing even the most stubborn alien minds to compliant mush within solar cycles. Commander Vexthul had overseen the breaking of Thanarian warriors, crystalline hive minds, and even the legendary Voidwalkers. But as he stared through the reinforced viewing port at the human specimen designated Prisoner 7749, something felt different. The human sat motionless in the center of the white-walled cell, legs crossed, eyes closed. Sergeant Marcus Chen had been captured 3 rotations ago during the failed human resistance on Proxima Station. Standard procedure dictated complete psychological breakdown within 72 standard hours. Yet here Chen sat, unchanged, unbroken. "Increase the neural disruptor frequency," Vexthul commanded, his tentacles writhing with frustration. The machine hummed louder, sending waves of artificial anxiety and despair directly into the prisoner's brain. Most species would be screaming by now. Chen opened his eyes slowly, looked directly at the hidden camera, and smiled. Guard Captain Kylo shifted nervously beside his commander. "Sir, perhaps we should try physical interrogation. My soldiers are eager to—" "No," Vexthul cut him off. "Physical pain is crude. The mind is the key. Continue the treatment." But as days turned to weeks, something unprecedented began happening. The human didn't break. Instead, he started talking to the guards. It began with Guard Zilix, a young Zephyrian barely past his molting age. During his shift monitoring Chen, the human had simply started speaking. "You know, Zilix, that is your name, right? I can see it on your uniform. You remind me of my nephew back on Earth. Same nervous energy." Zilix had been trained to ignore prisoner communications, but the human's tone was so casual, so friendly. "He was about your age when the war started," Chen continued, still sitting in meditation pose. "Scared, far from home, doing a job he wasn't sure about." "Are you scared, Zilix?" I am a Zephyrian warrior," Zilix stammered. "We know no fear." Chen chuckled, actually chuckled. "Of course you do. Fear keeps us alive. It's not something to be ashamed of. Tell me, what scares you most?" Despite every protocol screaming against it, Zilix found himself answering. The punishment chambers. If I fail in my duties." For the next hour, Chen had listened as Zilix spoke about his fears, his homesickness, his doubts about the Empire's methods. When the shift ended, Zilix left feeling somehow lighter, as if a burden had been lifted from his thorax. Word spread quickly through the guard barracks. Some called Zilix weak, but others were curious. What could this human possibly have said to affect a trained soldier so deeply? Guard 3NX volunteered for the next shift, determined to prove his superiority. He lasted 2 hours before the human had him discussing his estranged clutch siblings and his secret passion for forbidden art forms. 3NX emerged from his shift with tears in his compound eyes. One by one, Chen worked through the guard rotation. He never asked them to betray their duties or reveal classified information. Instead, he simply listened. He showed empathy for their struggles, understood their fears, and somehow made each guard feel seen in a way they'd never experienced before. Guard Captain Kylos finally demanded his own shift, convinced his iron discipline would resist whatever tricks the human employed. He entered the monitoring station with grim determination. "Captain Kylos," Chen greeted him without turning around. "I've been looking forward to meeting you." "Silence, prisoner. Your psychological manipulations won't work on me." Chen turned, and Kylos was struck by the human's eyes, not the broken, desperate gaze he expected, but something warm and deeply intelligent. "I'm not trying to manipulate anyone, Captain. I'm just trying to understand. You've been in charge of this facility for, 6 stellar cycles? That's a long time to be responsible for so much suffering." "It's my duty," Kylos replied, but his voice lacked conviction. "Duty?" Chen nodded thoughtfully. "Heavy word, that. I know something about duty. I was a counselor before the war, helped soldiers deal with trauma, grief, the weight of doing terrible things for good reasons. Tell me, Captain, when did you last sleep peacefully?" The question hit like a plasma bolt. Kylos couldn't remember the last time he'd slept without nightmares of screaming prisoners, without the faces of broken beings haunting his dreams. "The Empire requires," and he began. "The Empire requires a lot of things," Chen interrupted gently. "But what do you require? What does Kylos need? Not the captain, not the soldier, but you." By the end of his shift, Kylos was sobbing, great heaving sobs that shook his entire carapace. The human sat quietly, offering no judgment, just presence. Commander Vexthal watched the security feeds in growing alarm. His guards weren't just being affected, they were being transformed. Productivity was down, morale was somehow both higher and more fragmented, and 3 guards had requested transfers to less morally ambiguous positions. Most disturbing of all, the guards had begun talking to each other. Really talking about their fears, their doubts, their dreams beyond military service. The rigid hierarchy was dissolving into something dangerously human: community. When Guard Zilix formally requested conscientious objector status and 2 others followed suit the next day, Vexthal knew drastic action was needed. He entered the cell personally, all 4 arms bearing neural prods. "You think you're clever, human," he snarled. "But your tricks end now. I'll break you myself if necessary." Chen looked up at him with those impossibly calm eyes. "Commander, you're in pain." The statement was so unexpected, so direct, that Vexthal actually stepped backward. "Look at you," Chen continued, rising slowly to his feet. "When did you last feel joy? When did you last create something instead of destroying it? You've built your entire identity around being the perfect tool of an empire that doesn't even see you as a person." "I am Zephyrian," Vexthal roared, raising the neural prods. "We are the apex predators of the galaxy." "No," Chen said sadly. "You're prisoners too. Every one of you. Trapped in a system that demands you sacrifice your humanity, your Zephyrianity, for the illusion of power." For a moment that stretched into eternity, Vexthal stood frozen, neural prods humming with deadly energy. Then slowly his arms dropped to his sides. "How?" he whispered. "How do you do it? How do you remain yourself?" Chen smiled. That same warm, devastating smile that had undone an entire facility of hardened guards. "By remembering that everyone I meet is fighting a battle I know nothing about. Including you, Commander. Even you." 3 days later, detention facility Kepler 442b experienced its first successful prisoner uprising in 3 millennia. It wasn't led by the human. Sergeant Marcus Chen remained in his cell throughout the entire event. But every guard who participated later testified that they had learned something from the human prisoner. The difference between being broken and being human. And sometimes they realized being human was the strongest thing of all.